Well, today on Celebrating the Show Online, we are having our virtual Royal Melbourne Show with one of our enthusiastic young dairy producers, Patrick Anderson. You should normally be at Royal Melbourne Show right now getting ready to show your heifers, but where are you joining us from?
I'm just out here on our family farm in Athlone, just south of Warragul.
People that don't know that region, kind of describe the area. It's pretty famous for dairy production.
Um, well, yeah, pretty much every farm along our road's a dairy farm. Where we are is just before it gets real hilly as you're getting into Pooong and into the Strazlecki Ranges, pretty much right between what we call Metro and then the Ranges. Real productive year-round feed, really, 1,100 mils of annual rainfall, real high productive land, and that's pretty much why it lends itself to dairy farming.
And you've kind of got milk in your blood, really. You're not a first or second generation dairy farmer, are you?
No, I'm a sixth generation dairy farmer. Our family's had registered jerseys since 1886.
Tell us about the Jersey breed. What makes them so special to your family?
Um, well, really, it's the heritage for really why we have it. But from a breed point of view, they're one of the most efficient breeds in the industry. They're not as big and don't produce as much milk as a lot of other breeds, but they do it a lot more efficiency. They have a lot higher kilos of milk solids it's per litre of milk compared to your other breeds, and real fertile and easy calving, and a real good breed for just health traits.
And speaking of Jersey heifers, I'll move out of the way. Can you describe this photo behind me? What's going on here?
Well, that was from Melbourne Show last year. That's Kingsview Aileen. She won Intermediate Champion Jersey and then went on to win Supreme Intermediate Champion Jersey, and then leading it as my partner Casey, and holding the ribbons actually my brother-in-law Ricky Ferris.
So it's a real family affair getting involved with showing. Can you describe, for someone who hasn't competed at a royal show before, what it takes to get there and how important it is to do as well as you've done?
It's definitely a lot of work. It's not we might go to the show next week. It's pretty much from the day the cow calves. Well, you sync the cow up so she calves about 8 to 10 weeks before the show. You get her real right. So then when the show comes around, she's at her peak of her lactation, meaning that's when she looks her best. That's when she's milking her best. And pretty much from the day she calves, you're feeding her a little bit special, just giving her extra treat compared to your other cows, just to get her producing well and looking good. About a month before the show, that's when you really start getting the show prep in. You start giving her a bit more cereal, hay, a little bit more grain. You set her clippers out and you clip all her hair off. The reason you do that, it makes them look a lot neater, a lot cleaner, and it helps you to highlight their strong points. And then, the week before the show, if you haven't got a halter broken by then, you've got no chance. So it's just a little bit more of a refinement on their leading. You get them on the leather halter, really teach them. Well, really, they should already know how to lead, but just get them into the rhythm. And then that's when you also pretty much put them onto the feed that they'll be on at the show. You don't want to just pull a cow off a paddock of grass the day before and then take her to the show and expect her to just eat hay. More than likely, she'll just get sick and not want to be there and not do what you want. So it's all about transitioning them right into the show. And then once you get to the show, getting him settled, getting him into a routine, and setting him up for show day. So as you get from the show, pretty much the first thing you do when you get there is you unload everything out of the trailer or your truck, which seems like the quickest job of the thing. It's not as fun loading it all back up at the end. You wash all the cows, you set up all their bedding, you set up your stall, and you get them in and settled.
And tell me, you set up the bedding, you get your beloved jerseys and Holsteins ready for competition. Where do you and your family stay while you're competing?
We camp out at the showgrounds in the stalls. It's a bit funny that all my life I've always camped at the shows, and then I've started showing a bit of sheep, and no one that shows sheep really stays at the bigger shows they do, but at littler shows they go home or they stay in a hotel, and all of us cattle people are like, what? We all camp it out in swags and put in the hard yards.
right near your beloved livestock. Now, I wonder, do you remember your first Royal Melbourne Show?
Well, I don't specifically remember it because I was only 7 months old. Because my family's been showing at the Royal Melbourne Show since 1896, so it's always been a family affair. But I can remember right from when I was little being out in the ring, and even being there with my older sisters and my parents.
1896, that is quite some heritage. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here and ask, of all those great moments competing and socialising, because I think that's an element people don't realise is so important for producers and farmers, to coming together for the Royal Show is a real celebration of that community. Can you think of a really special, memorable Royal Melbourne Show moment, and also a really regrettable, forgettable moment you've had at the show?
Well, yeah, last year was definitely my most memorable Melbourne show, mainly because it was pretty much the first time I'd taken a team to Melbourne that was pretty much all my own animals, and it was just me and my partner getting them ready the whole time with a little bit of help from family on the actual show day. And yeah, we had real good success. Owned and exhibited the Junior Jersey Champion. She got Supreme Junior Champion. I owned and bred the Reserve Junior Jersey Champion. And then exhibited the Intermediate Jersey Champion. Out of all four I took they all placed top two in all their classes, and brought home Premier Jersey Exhibitor and Premier Dairy Exhibitor. So that was definitely like my highlight, which is, it's going to be hard to really match. Then probably what would have gone wrong when I was about I don't know, 5 or 6. The whole shed was kind of flipped. The ring was on the other end to where it is now, and the stalls were there right near the toilets, and our cows were right next to the toilet. So I'm like, I'll just go off to the toilet, and as I've left the toilet to come back, they've closed off the shed because they were getting ready for, I think they still did a grand parade or something back then. I can't quite remember, and so they'd closed the shed to all the public so that they weren't walking through the stands as the cattle were getting moved around. And here am I, this little kid in this crowd stuck outside the door, and I can see mum and dad and the sisters, they're all walking all around looking for me, and then they ended up having to put it over the loudspeaker, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me to the security guard. But there was that many people trying to get in the door, they didn't really realise it was 2 hours, and then I just walked back and I was sitting there at the cows, and then mum and dad have come back around flipping we were, yeah. But I was always 20 metres away the whole time.
Oh my goodness, I tell you what, it's easy to get lost in those crowds, particularly when you're a country kid and you're kind of just off doing your own thing. I've had a couple of those moments myself in our family. I wonder as well, in terms of what your typical day at the show looks like for boys and girls that haven't competed, that don't know much about the dairy section. Tell me, do you get a nice sleep into late AM and then you just put your heifer in a halter and head into the arena for 10 minutes? Is that what the day involves?
No, definitely not. You catch up when you sleep 2 weeks later. Pretty much the days leading up to actual show day, you get up. You want to get your cows into a routine. So if they're getting milked at 4 a.m. at home, that's the time you get up at the show to get them milked. So as soon as you wake up, pretty much the jobs are milk the milkers, and then everything goes out into the wash bay. All the heifers and the cows all get a wash, and hopefully if you've got enough staff, for one or two people are doing that, other people can be cleaning out the beds, neatening it up, and then preparing their feed for when they come back from the wash bay. The cows come back from the wash bay, they get their breakfast, and then once they're all fed and settled, then we all go and get our breakfast. So we could get up at 4 o'clock and not actually get breakfast until 9, 10 o'clock. And then for the rest of the day, you pretty much bring in all your animals through your clipping chute, cleaning them all up, trimming their hair, like I said earlier, just making them all look neat and tidy and presentable, highlighting their strong points. And then, you pretty much do that throughout the day. Then in the afternoon, if it's a hot day, then you'll take the cows back out to the wash bay, just give them a rinse. All throughout the day, you're topping up their hay, feed them their grain mix or whatever you whatever floats your boat for what you feed them in the afternoon as well. Get dinner, and then before show day, after dinner, it's kind of just like a social time. You catch up with all like your other friends and mates that you only see maybe twice a year, if that. And then, when you get into that real social chat, next thing you know, it's like 12 o'clock at night, and you're like, oh, I better go to bed.
And then
yeah, pretty much, and wake up 4 hours later and get back at it. On show day, milking cows, you'll milk late the night before, so then they're full of milk when it comes to the show to really highlight how good they are. So you pretty much do that, and then you'll have someone at your cows all throughout the night. So usually, say one person will go from like 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, then they'll go to bed and they'll say, all right, I'll see you at 8 o'clock and that kind of thing. So, or you have some crazy people that go like 48 hours straight, and you just look at them and you say, you're a walking dead, aren't you? But, and then so you do kind of a shift work overnight just to really make sure they're clean, and especially when they're full of milk, you don't want them laying down in any dirty bedding. And then you'll wash them earlier on a show morning because they need to be dry earlier for you to be able to actually fit them for the show. So that involves like blowing up the hair along their spine as a top line. It makes them just look... Yeah, hairdryer. More expensive hairdryers than what some hairdressers use. You blow the hair up, that makes them look real sharp and clean, gives them a bit more height. And then say for your milking cows, you'll actually put like baby oil and some other shiny kind of sprays on the udder to really highlight the texture, the soft silkiness of the udder. And then you'll just spray them with some glossy spray to make them all shiny and look nice. And then you pretty much have someone there just waiting for them to make sure they don't get dirty again after you've gone through all that work. Well, everyone goes and chucks their whites on. I'm ready to take them out in the ring.
So making sure you're looking as fantastic as your exhibit. We've talked a bit about the successes of your exhibits over the years, but you personally had a bit of a big win last year, and the prize for your big win was that right now you should be on your way back from Canada, I think, and then on your way to Belgium. Tell us about what you won and what the prize was.
Yes, I won the RASV Youth Travel Scholarship. It's a $10,000 scholarship to use on agricultural-related travel. So what I was going to be doing is spending a couple of months in Canada and then going across to Europe, kind of in between our calving patterns. We'll be back. All the cows are calving as soon as it's kind of dying off I went again. So to enter that, you had to be an exhibitor at the Royal Melbourne Show, which was easy because I already had cows there and I entered sheep as well. It was a really good opportunity. It was actually the same night as the dairy judging, so my partner got the glory of being there when all the heifers and cows got their prizes. I was only there at the end, so she did a good job running everything while I wasn't there. I was at the presentation dinner, and then I was just getting text messages, oh, she's won, oh wow, doing all right. So I didn't actually see most of the dairy judging, but
well, you must be like so many others looking forward to a real Royal Melbourne Show in 2021. What is the thing you are most looking forward to next year at the show?
Oh, well, just getting your animals to look into the best of their ability. It's a bit of a shame this year. We got a lot of real nice 2-year-olds and cows that have recalved in and are just looking in their prime, and not only from a Royal Show perspective, but there's no shows. So the year that they're all doing their thing just right is the year that you don't get to show them off. But that's just part of life. I just look forward to putting that time in. I really enjoy showing cows. You even form a bond with the cow as well. Spending all that time with it, because we're a registered herd, every single cow in our herd has their names, it's funny. I could tell you the name of. I could tell you the name of pretty much every cow, but I couldn't tell you their actual number ID. Sometimes when I work, it goes to me, 5'4", 96 needs, yada yada. I'm like, oh, I've got to think who 5'4", 96 is, but I know who Valentino Panzi is. But those show ones, you do form that special bond with, and it's kind of like when you go down the herd, you get the cows before milking, you go, oh, where's this cow? So yeah, just that kind of finesse that comes from a show.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us here today on Celebrating the Show Online. You're such a testament to the next generation of agricultural enthusiasts and talented farmers coming up. And I have it on good authority that wonderful Jersey stud that you started a few years ago is now also a Holstein stud, a Border Leicester stud, a Kelby stud. So it seems that your talents know no bounds at all. I can't wait to see you in person at the Royal Melbourne Show next year. All the very best with your youth travel scholarship, and we look forward to seeing what you do in the years to come.
Yeah, thank you.